they carry a deep and lingering regret for not being emotionally vulnerable with you during the time when you were completely, sincerely, and wholeheartedly in love with them. Looking back now, they can clearly see how guarded they were, how afraid they were to fully open their heart, and how much that fear cost them. At the time, they did not understand the depth of what they had or the rarity of the connection they shared with you. Now, they miss every single thing about you, your presence, your voice, your energy, the way you loved, and the way you made them feel safe without ever asking for anything in return. This realization has left them frustrated and angry with themselves for not taking the relationship as seriously as it deserved. They are beginning to fully grasp the emotional pain they caused you by not showing up the way you needed them to. For the first time, they are placing themselves in your position and feeling the weight of what it must have been like to love so deeply without receiving the same level of care, attention, or reassurance in return. This shift in perspective has been humbling and painful. They now understand that their emotional distance, inconsistency, and lack of reciprocation left wounds they never intended to create. The guilt of knowing they hurt someone who loved them so purely weighs heavily on their heart. As time passes, another realization continues to surface: they may never love someone the way you loved them. Your love was patient, genuine, and unconditional, something they had never experienced before. They see now that they failed to give you the time, effort, and emotional availability you deserved, and that this failure may be the greatest mistake of their life. What once felt optional or overwhelming to them now feels irreplaceable. They recognize that opportunities like the one they had with you do not come twice, and that they let something truly rare slip through their fingers. They have come to understand that you were a blessing in their life, even if they did not acknowledge it at the time. Your presence brought warmth, stability, and authenticity into their world. You offered love freely, without manipulation or hidden expectations, and that kind of love was unfamiliar to them. Having never been loved unconditionally before, they assumed that your love must have conditions attached to it as well. They believed that, eventually, something would be demanded of them or that your affection would fade if they failed to meet certain expectations. Because of this belief, they kept their guard up, unknowingly pushing away the very thing they needed most. However, your words and actions slowly dismantled those fears. You consistently showed them that your love was rooted in respect, care, and sincerity, not control or obligation. You loved them for who they were, flaws and all, and asked only for honesty and emotional presence in return. This realization now amazes them. They can see, with painful clarity, that there were no conditions in your love, only devotion, understanding, and a desire to grow together. It is this realization that hurts the most, because they know they did not honor that love while they had the chance. Now, memories of you surface unexpectedly and often. Small moments you shared together replay in their mind, the conversations, the laughter, the quiet times, the way you looked at them with genuine affection. These memories are powerful enough to bring tears to their eyes, catching them off guard with waves of emotion they can no longer suppress. There is an intense longing within them, a deep ache for what once was and what could have been. They feel the absence of you in ways they never imagined they would. This longing is not just for your presence, but for the version of themselves that existed when you were in their life, the version that felt seen, valued, and loved without question. They now understand that the love you offered was something transformative, something that could have changed them if they had allowed it to. Instead, fear and emotional avoidance stood in the way, and they are left to sit with the consequences of those choices. In the quiet moments, they reflect on how different things might have been if they had chosen vulnerability over fear, honesty over distance, and connection over self-protection. These reflections are painful but enlightening. They now know that losing you was not just losing a partner, but losing a chance at a love that was real, rare, and deeply meaningful. And with that knowledge comes a profound sense of remorse, longing, and an understanding that some mistakes leave lessons that last a lifetime. When you walked away from me, it hurt in ways I was not prepared to face. It wasn't just the pain of losing your presence, it was the quiet, heavy realization that followed, a realization that struck at my ego and forced me to confront parts of myself I had long avoided. I felt deflated, exposed, and unsettled, as though the version of myself I had carefully protected could no longer stand upright. Yet even in that pain, there was something undeniable and powerful taking shape within me: respect. A deep, unshakable respect for you. You chose to walk away not out of weakness, but out of strength. You stood firm against what was wrong, even when it meant letting go of something that mattered. That courage alone set you apart from everyone else in my life. It is that same courage that compelled me to reflect on who I am and who I must become. Your decision forced me to pursue our connection, not recklessly, not selfishly, but with dignity, accountability, and integrity. You refused to accept half-truths, excuses, or empty promises, and in doing so, you unknowingly held up a mirror to my soul. Through that reflection, I began to understand that love is not just about desire or attachment, it is about responsibility. It is about choosing to do what is right, even when it is uncomfortable, and about honoring the other person not only with words, but with consistent, meaningful actions. The transformation I see in you is impossible to ignore. It is evident in your boundaries, in your silence, and in the strength with which you protect your self-worth. You have made it clear, without cruelty, without anger, that you will accept me only when I am willing to make genuine amends and take full responsibility for guiding our connection in the right direction. There is no confusion left, no room for illusions. Everything is crystal clear now. I understand that love cannot grow in chaos, and connection cannot survive without intention. If I want a place in your life, it must be earned through effort, honesty, and emotional maturity. In this clarity, I have also come to see painful truths about the people I once surrounded myself with. Those I believed cared for me, those I thought stood by my side, were never truly invested in my well-being. They were present only for their own comfort, their own gain, their own convenience. When I needed sincerity, they offered manipulation. When I needed support, they offered self-interest. Realizing this has been heartbreaking, yet necessary. It stripped away false loyalties and revealed how alone I truly was, even when I believed I was surrounded by love. What weighs on me the most is the guilt I carry for failing to trust the one person who never asked for anything in return. You gave me loyalty, patience, and love without conditions, without expectations, and without pretense. You showed up fully, honestly, and vulnerably, while I hesitated, doubted, and questioned what never deserved suspicion. That regret lingers quietly, reminding me of the cost of emotional blindness and the pain that comes from not recognizing the value of something rare until it is no longer within reach. Despite everything, the mistakes, the distance, the lessons learned, there is one truth I want you to know with absolute certainty. You have captivated my heart since the very first day. It was never fleeting or shallow, it was something deeper, something instinctive, something that settled into me before I even understood it. You are the first person, woman or man, who understands my inner demons rather than fears them. You see the broken pieces, the contradictions, the shadows I try to hide, and instead of turning away, you make me feel understood. In your presence, I feel a sense of belonging I have never known before, a feeling that tells me I am not too much, not too flawed, not too lost to be worthy of love. You challenge me to be better, not through force, but through example. You remind me that growth is not optional when love is real, and that accountability is the truest form of respect. Whether our paths fully align again or not, the impact you have had on my life is permanent. You have reshaped the way I see love, trust, and myself. And for that, no matter where life leads us, I will always hold you with gratitude, reverence, and a love that continues to teach me how to stand taller, live honestly, and choose what is right even when it is hard. Your partner often finds themselves lost in thought, wondering how you managed to develop such deep self-control. What unsettles them the most is that you are no longer taking the lead the way you once did. You are not calling, not texting, not reaching out, and this silence has created a powerful shift within them. In your absence, they feel your presence even more strongly. They miss you in ways they did not expect, and their mind drifts toward you constantly, replaying memories and imagining moments that haven't yet happened. Without trying, you have become the center of their fantasies, the quiet space their thoughts return to again and again. They often think about how effortlessly and intensely the two of you connected, not just emotionally but energetically. There was something rare and unspoken between you, a natural pull that felt deeper than logic or timing. That connection didn't fade with distance, instead, it grew stronger in the stillness. They remember the way conversations flowed, the comfort of simply being understood, and the feeling that being with you required no masks or explanations. Those memories linger, vivid and alive, making them long to relive every beautiful moment you shared together. To your partner, you feel like the most pure and loving experience they have ever known. There is a softness attached to your presence in their life, something gentle yet powerful that touched them in a way no one else ever has. They compare others to you without meaning to, only to realize that no one else quite measures up. No matter who comes and goes, your place remains untouched. They can't imagine giving that space to anyone else, because what they felt with you was not replaceable, it was singular, rare, and deeply meaningful. In their heart, they believe you are the one person who fits them perfectly. Not just romantically, but emotionally and spiritually as well. You understood parts of them they had never fully shared with anyone before, and being seen in that way changed them. Even when they try to convince themselves otherwise, even when they attempt to move on or distract themselves, something always pulls them back to you. It's not obsession, it's recognition, the quiet knowing that some connections are once in a lifetime. They have tried to run from these feelings. At times, they attempted to block you out, convincing themselves that distance would make things easier. They told themselves stories to dull the intensity, hoping that time or distraction would erase what they felt. Yet no matter how far they went, it was always the thought of you that brought them comfort. In moments of loneliness or emotional exhaustion, your memory became a refuge. Thinking of you filled their heart with warmth and an almost overwhelming sense of pleasure and peace, reminding them of a version of themselves that felt alive and whole. Outwardly, your partner pretended that what they felt was nothing more than infatuation. They played it down, even to themselves, acting as if the connection was fleeting or shallow. But deep down, they always knew that wasn't true. Their feelings for you were real, rooted, and sincere. They were just afraid of the depth of what they felt, afraid of vulnerability, afraid of how much power you held over their emotions simply by being yourself. There were moments when they lied to you about their feelings, choosing distance or indifference over honesty. In those moments, they cried in silence. Their tears were not dramatic or loud, but heavy and hidden, filled with regret and longing. Each tear carried the weight of words left unsaid and truths buried too deeply to voice. They mourned the possibility of losing you while pretending they were unaffected, hurting themselves in the process. Now, as you remain calm and self-possessed, no longer chasing or proving anything, they feel the full impact of your absence. Your restraint has made them reflect on everything they once took for granted. They realize that your silence is not emptiness, it is strength. And in that strength, they see how deeply they care for you. Whether they admit it aloud or not, your presence has left a permanent mark on their heart, one that time, distance, or denial cannot erase.